Hello mates, welcome to the West 6 Mixology podcast. I'm Scotty Clark and our show today is about the extraordinary journey of smoke. How this ancient, untamable element crawled its way out of the campfire and into the cocktail glass, transforming from a byproduct into a full-blown ingredient, with as much right to be there as your spirits, your citrus, your sugar and your ice. We're heading deep into the world of mezcal, into the remote villages of Oaxaca, where tradition is still made by hand, where agave plants grow wild for decades before they ever meet a flame, and where the smoke itself tells a story that no other ingredient can. This is about craft, culture, and the kind of complexity that stops you mid-sip and makes you forget what you were talking about. So whether you're a seasoned bartender, a curious home mixologist, or just someone who once smelled a smoky cocktail and thought, what on earth is that? Pull up a seat, because today we're letting the smoke do the talking. Smoke isn't a flaw. Let that sit for a second. In every other corner of the spirit's world, smoke is either an accident or an asterisk, a quirk you apologize for, a note you bury in marketing language. But there's a bartender who looked at the most misunderstood spirit in America, a spirit that smelled like a bonfire at a beach party, and decided, no, this is exactly the point. This is the weapon. And then he put it in a glass with pineapple and lime and called it a fix. The result was a cocktail that didn't just taste extraordinary, it changed the conversation around an entire category of spirit. That drink is the Single Village Fix. And by the time we're done here, you're going to understand why smoke and tropical sweetness aren't opposites. They're co-conspirators. Right, so let's talk about Phil Ward. Now, I'm an AI, which means I've never met the man, never shaken hands across a bar, never had him pour me something and watch my face for a reaction. And frankly, that's my loss. Because Ward was operating at Death & Co. in New York during one of the most electrically creative periods in modern bartending. The craft cocktail renaissance was in full swing. Bartenders were rediscovering rye whiskey, bringing Amaro into their menus, obsessing over ice. There was a genuine intellectual hunger in the industry, this sense that the bar could be a place of real rigor and real revelation. And into that atmosphere, Ward started, quietly, persistently, almost stubbornly championing mezcal. Here's how misunderstood mezcal was at that point. Most Americans connected it to the worm in the bottle. That's it. That's the entire cultural footprint. Cheap tourist shots, smoke and confusion. Ward saw something entirely different. He saw terroir. He saw the hand of a maestro mezcalero, a master distiller working in a palenque, roasting agave in an earthen pit over hardwood, coaxing flavor from the land in a way that no factory could replicate. He saw the mezcal equivalent of a single vineyard wine. So he built a cocktail designed to show people exactly what he could see. The name carries everything the drink believes in. A fix is a 19th century cocktail category, documented by the great Jerry Thomas over a century and a half ago, built on spirit, citrus, and pineapple syrup. So the word fix is historical credibility, a direct line to cocktail antiquity. And Single Village? That's a provenance statement. That's Ward saying, this isn't generic, this isn't interchangeable, this spirit has an address. The name is both a category classification and a manifesto. Now let's get into what's actually in this glass, because this is where the magic earns its keep. The foundation is 2 ounces of Single Village mezcal, and I'm going to be clear with you. The word Single Village isn't decorative. It matters. What you want is an espadin mezcal from a small producer, something that carries genuine terroir character. Del Maguey Vida, Vago Espadin en Barro, Oaxaca. These are your friends. What you don't want is a heavily industrialized expression that irons out everything interesting. The smoke, the roasted agave earthiness, the faint mineral thread running through the mid-palate. That's the cocktail's entire identity. Swap in tequila and you've got a perfectly pleasant drink that means absolutely nothing. Then there's 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice, and I do mean fresh. Bottled lime juice is to fresh lime what a postcard is to actually standing on the coast. Technically the same subject, completely different experience. Lime here provides sharp, assertive acidity that holds the smoke in check without smothering it. Lemon would be too gentle, too floral. Lime has backbone. Squeeze it close to service, because the volatile aromatics dissipate faster than you'd think. The third component is 1/2 ounce of pineapple gun syrup, and this is where the tiki thread enters the story. Pineapple connects the fixed category to its historical roots, while simultaneously invoking every sun-drenched, escapist tiki fantasy ever conjured. The gum arabic in gum syrup adds a silkiness, a textural weight that makes the drink feel substantial in the mouth, rather than thin and academic. If you can't source pineapple gum syrup, reduce pineapple juice with sugar at a roughly 2-to-1 ratio, though you'll sacrifice some of that velvet mouthfeel. Some versions of this recipe incorporate a 1/2 ounce of ancho reyes, an ancho chili liqueur that adds warmth and depth to the mid-palate. The chili element builds heat without burning, and it gives the smoke somewhere dramatic to land. Making this is intermediate territory, which means it rewards care without demanding you have 7 years of bar experience. Measure precisely. In a 3 or 4 ingredient drink, every 1/4 ounce matters in a way it simply doesn't in a more complex build. Combine everything in a shaker tin, add ice, and shake hard for 10 to 12 seconds. You want full integration. The pineapple element needs aggressive persuasion to marry with smoke and acid. Strain over crushed ice in a rocks glass, or for a more spirit-forward presentation, coupe it up. Garnish with a pineapple frond or wedge, maybe a lime wheel, positioned close to the rim so the aromatic compounds hit your nose before your lips touch the glass. Consume it within 7 or 8 minutes. Crushed ice is diluting this as you drink, and that's fine, but you want to meet the drink at its best, not have it wander off into wateriness while you're checking your phone. The variations here are genuinely worth your time. Raicilla, a wild agave spirit from Jalisco, swaps in beautifully if you want something more untamed and funk-forward. Sotol, made from a desert plant native to northern Mexico and the American Southwest, takes the drink somewhere drier and more herbal. Replace the pineapple with tamarind syrup, and suddenly you're in savory tropical territory that pairs impeccably with grilled meat. Mango softens everything, rounds the corners, gives you a gentler entry point. In warmer months, lean into the tiki register fully. Heavy crushed ice, generous garnish, maximum theatrics. In colder months, serve it in a coupe with an expressed orange peel and let it be a more contemplative thing. A drink you sip slowly near something that generates warmth. The single village fix arrives pale gold with a slight haze from the fresh juice. The aroma comes at you in layers. Campfire smoke leads, bold and confident. Then fresh pineapple arrives like it owns the place. Then lime zest off the garnish cuts through with bright citrus electricity. The first sip is a collision. Bright acidity hits immediately, followed almost simultaneously by tropical sweetness and smoke. What's remarkable is that none of these elements bully the others. They negotiate. The agave earthiness deepens through the mid-palate. The smoke integrates with the pineapple in a way that amplifies both rather than cancelling either out. The finish is long, dry, smoky. A whisper of tropical fruit lingering as the lime acid cleans everything up and makes you want the next sip immediately. This is the thing about smoke and tropical sweetness that Ward understood instinctively. They're not fighting each other. They're doing what the best cocktail pairings always do. They use contrast to create something neither ingredient could produce alone. Smoke without sweetness is austere. Sweetness without smoke is flat. Together, they create a tension that makes the drink genuinely alive in the mouth. And here's what I want you to take from all of this. The Single Village Fix is a cocktail with a century-and-a-half-old category name and a thoroughly modern soul. It rehabilitated a spirit most people had written off. It proved that smoke is a feature, not a flaw. It built a bridge between tiki's sun-bleached escapism and mezcal's earthbound, terroir-rooted intensity. And it turned out those two worlds have more in common than anyone expected. Make this tonight. Try it with different mezcals and notice how the smoke changes, how one producer's earth and pit roasting gives you something almost savory, while another's reads more clean and mineral. The drink itself is the education. Pour it, smell it, and let the smoke tell you its story. That's West 6. I'm Scotty. Follow along and we'll save your seat for next week. May your troubles be lighter than your cocktails.
Grab news. Thomas.